I do not understand the mystery of grace, only that it meets us where we are and does not leave us where it found us. Now, if you rise as you are willing and able as we sing our first hymn, We Laugh, We Cry.
We laugh, we cry, we live, we die, we dance, we sing our song. We need to feel there's something here to which we can belong. We need to feel the freedom just to have some time alone. But most of all, we need close friends we can call our very own. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a need to be together. We have our hearts to give. We have our thoughts to receive. And we believe that sharing is an answer. A child is born among us and we feel a special glow. We see time's endless journey as we watch the baby grow. We thrill to hear imagination freely running wild. And wills the joy as we carry on. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a time to be together. And with the grace of age, we share the wonder of youth. And we believe that growing is an answer. Our lives are full of wonder and our time is very brief. The death of one among us fills us all with pain and grief. But as we live, so shall we die, and when our lives are done, the memories we shared with friends, they still will linger on. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a place to be together. And we have the right to grow. We have the gift to believe. And we have peace that, is an answer. We seek elusive answers to the questions of this life. We seek to put an end to all the waste of human strife. We search for truth, equality, and blessed peace of mind. And then we come together here to make sense of what we find. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a joy being together. And in our search for peace, maybe we'll finally see even a question truly is an answer.
I think our church came to sing this morning. I wish you could hear yourselves from up here. Who here is ready to worship? Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Baton Rouge. My name is Reverend Chris Long. just turn it down just a little bit, Ed. One of your ministers here, your minister of congregational life. My pronouns of choice are he, him, his. How are y'all doing so far today? Say it out loud again. How you doing today? And if you aren't doing good, that's okay too. Amen? Just bringing your voice, bring your energies into this sacred space, whatever they may be. Up on the chancel today, we have Penny Nichols. Anybody here know Penny Nichols? She's one of several congregational leaders who were invited to take as many as 6 preaching lessons. Come on in. Good morning, everybody. She was invited to take at least 6 preaching sessions with our senior minister, Reverend Nathan, before he left for his 3.5-month sabbatical. Did y'all know how I did that? 3.5 months? It's 3.5, not 4 anymore. 3.5 months sabbatical. Penny, thank you for taking the courage needed to share your voice in this particular way in this church. Also up on the chancel, we have our worship associate, Melanie Mayu. Melanie. Our music director extraordinaire is Lee Hartman. And up in what we call our treehouse, the technical support area, we have Ed Benoit. Let's give it up for Ed Benoit. If you are visiting us for the first time, we extend a heartfelt welcome to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining us for today's worship. Please join us as members and friends of the congregation in our kitchen area for refreshments and coffee after the service. Those joining us on live stream, as always, good morning to you as well. And please say hello to each other in our chat. As we always do, and like to have you feel as included as possible. Next, I have some good news. Anybody here this weekend for any of the festivities? We have a few hands. Who here knows what happened on Friday night with our 7th and 8th grade high schoolers? They had an owl lock-in, right? Can you imagine 7th and 8th graders in our church from 6 p.m. to way too early in the morning? What was the time they got out? 6 p.m. or so to noon the next day for our owl lock-in. Who here knows what OWL is? Say it out loud. Say it out loud. Our Whole Lives. Our Whole Lives is our healthy sexuality curriculum through the UUA in conjunction with a long connection with the, United Church of Christ. We combine some curriculums for sexuality from K all the way through well into younger adulthood in the 80s, 90s. We have adult sexuality for that age range as well. Yesterday at this church, who here got to come to the church yesterday? The parking lot was filled. Did you know that? The parking lot was filled with the Magic Makers, what is it called? Magical Spring Market. Local folks in connection with our Sixth Source Sharing Pagan Circle came, and the car lot was full most of the afternoon from 10 to 4 p.m. Lots of interactions that I had while I was here yesterday. We also held yesterday morning family fun outdoors for our little learners, where they got, through Kathy Smith's director of our family ministries, provided the young folks some opportunity to be out in nature and play in a beautifully, differently structured way, out in nature. Last but not least, who here gathered for the march at the Capitol, the march for our LGBT youth, knowing that a person on the Republican side, yep, I see the hands are waving, last week on the Republican side, a senator said he's not a physician, so could not put forth the hateful bill that would impact how healthcare is provided to some of our younger LGBT youth, specifically trans youth. Let's give it up for that courage. We gathered as 25 of 30 of us, gathered with nearly 250 others from all across the state, youth-led march from the Capitol to the governor's mansion, where we parked on the grass where the police would allow us, and we raised holy hell. Can y'all say holy hell? Holy hell at the governor's mansion with some demands that the young people have set forth for themselves. Okay, I done got off script. Today's announcements. Y'all ready for a few announcements? Say yes, Reverend Chris. Our church safety team is conducting a survey and has been through the month of May, and they will continue the last of their survey collecting in a box out there and be gathered to give some answers to the questions. As many as 60 people have already completed those surveys, so if you haven't had a chance, please do lend your voice there out in the breezeway. As you all know, we have had a lot of interest in our climate interest group, and they will be having their second meeting, second of two, since we had a visitor from out that came and gave some really deep, Reverend Michael Dowd gave some really impactful information about environments. But if you are interested in joining the middle hour meeting for next Sunday between our services from 10:15 to 11:15, there's a sign-up sheet out in the breezeway was it on the newcomers table, you told me? The newcomers and welcomes table. So if you're interested, please do sign that sheet. We already have a list of 40 people who are interested in climate issues. So things are on the move at your church, amen? And a good morning and welcome again to you all. As we continue to ease into this morning's worship service, how is your heart on this day? Yes, wait. Your heart on this day. Take a few moments to sit with yourself. Even as we gather as a body of seekers, let's sit for a few moments and feel or think about how you and your heart are in this moment. Just scan your being to honor what is there, the sorrows, the joys, the physical aches, chronic illness, health, scanning without judgment to honor who and where we are right now. This morning's prayer. Spirit of life, universe, Gaia, God. Let us take pause in our service to honor the indigenous communities whose lands we now inhabit. Specifically, we know that a few indigenous communities whose lands we occupy are still continuing to live here, and they are the Homa peoples and the Bayagula. May we continue to do the work necessary to be in right relationship with those still present here in Baton Rouge and around the state now. I would like to welcome into this space, as you may also wish, to our individual and collective ancestors who made all of us possible. Fully aware that not all of us have had positive or fond memories or experiences from some of our ancestors. For those who have had such experiences that are not so good, I pray there can be healing as we move throughout our days together. We are honoring Memorial Day this weekend, the time of year where we take pause to honor those who gave their lives in hopes of building a more perfect union in this country. Yes, we honor the sacrifice of those who served and died, even as some here struggle with the notion of war. Both things for many are true. As there are but a few days left in this month honoring Asian American Heritage Month, may we always remember and continue to learn more about all of the important contributions Asian Americans across the Asian diaspora have and continue to make to ensure that this country is a better place. As we gather for this time of worship, hoping to find worth and meaning in our lives together, may we find what we need here in our time of co-creating sacred space together. Ashe. Shalom, salam, blessed be, and may it be so. And all the people said, the sharing of stones ritual here at the Unitarian Church of Baton Rouge is a time in our service where we take pause to come forth to honor and share stones. We share stones to honor the joys and sorrows of our lives with this community. Visitors, as always, are welcome to take part in this ritual. This week and every week, those who gather are invited to sign cards for members of the congregation at our congregational care table, which is also out in the kitchen area. Today, we have a stone of condolence we'd like to share for a member on the passing of her brother. Kathy Castile on the passing of her brother, Brad Orman. We hold them and their family in our hearts. Next, we shift to notes of congratulations. As was mentioned last week, we want to continue to honor the 5 high school graduates who are graduating this month. Their names are River Costello, Liz Yonke, Parrish Johnson, Martin Maldonado, and Annie Webb. Let's give it up for our high school graduates. As a practice, we offer each graduate one of our great hymnals will be signed out on the card table for each of our graduates. Take a moment to sign a note of congratulations also on the caring team. Next Sunday, what I forgot to mention some of the June month highlights in my earlier announcements. Next Sunday, say next Sunday. We will be holding our new adult ceremony to honor graduates as they take the next steps into their really bright futures. Do join us. Also on the 18th, we will have our annual Pride services. Our annual Pride services on June 18th, both at 9 o'clock and at 11:30. Please, again, do sign those cards and the hymnals for our young scholars. Those who would like to take part in this ritual, please come forth, either lining up on the east or west walls of the sanctuary. Our ritual of stone sharing begins. Let us say together our chalice lighting words. With hope to make this a better world, we light this flame. Its light is a symbol of the power of love.
From all that dwell below the skies, let songs of hope and faith arise. Let peace, goodwill on earth be sung, through every land, by every tongue.
Reading from Luke 15, 22, 30. But the father said to his servants, "Bring quickly the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet. And bring the fattened calf and kill it, and let us eat and celebrate. For this my son was dead, is alive again. He was lost and is found." And they began to celebrate. Now his older son was in the field, and as he came and drew near to the house, he heard music and dancing. And he called one of the servants and asked what these things meant. And he said to him, "Your brother has come, and your father has killed the fattened calf, because he has received him back safe and sound." But he was angry and refused to go in. His father came out and entreated him, but he answered his father, "Look, these many years I have served you. I had never disobeyed your command, yet you never gave me a young goat, that I may celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours comes, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed the fattened calf for him."
Well, that helps. I'm uncomfortable. I'm Penny Nichols, a member of this church for some years, and recently a member of the Preacher Pack. The Preacher Pack was asked to identify the story, biblical or otherwise, that troubles us, then write a sermon about it, which we would possibly deliver during Reverend Nathan's sabbatical. The prodigal son is my story. I was about 6 years old when I had my first UU moment in a Baptist church. The other children and I sat quietly in tiny chairs around a short table at Plainview Baptist Church as the Sunday school teacher read the prodigal son lesson from her lesson book. I definitely felt the older sibling, the one who sat on the front row in class, eager to please, eager to learn, the first to raise her hand to ask a question. "Wait, what?" I asked after the lesson, then flooded the little classroom with my big questions. Our teacher, clearly flustered, suggested I stop asking questions and just listen. But I didn't listen to her. For decades, I chewed on that story. Where are the consequences? What kind of lesson are we teaching? Sure, run off and squander everything, and then don't worry, we'll take you right back. I get it, the forgiveness bit. But do we have to slaughter the fattened calf and throw a big party for the reckless, selfish ones? I was the older son, the older child in the story, standing in dismay telling my parent, "You never threw me a big party. You never slaughtered the fat calf to celebrate what a good girl I am." Wow. Saying those words that seared my brain at 6 and festered there for over 5 decades, saying those words out loud here, all these decades later, They're cringy. Is it just me? Or does that older son sound like a whiny goody two-shoes? Overachiever, teacher's pet that didn't get her way. The elder son whining, "You never gave me a young goat," has been so loud and resonant in my head that the prodigal son's preamble before his return was lost on my 6-year-old heart and continued to be lost on me at 63. This is the prodigal son's preamble, their words to their father when they came home, according to Luke. "How many of my father's hired servants have more than enough bread, but I perish here with hunger? I will arise and I go to my father, and I will say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you, and I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants.'"
Each month, this church generously and with humility shares 1/2 of its weekly offering for the month with a local organization that is extending our mission and current vision into the community. This month, 1/2 of our offering will go to, or has for the month, it has been going to Capital Area Alliance for the Homeless. From its inception, Capital Area Alliance for the Homeless has worked together as a community to strategically enhance services available to individuals who become homeless by coordinating resources available through nonprofit organizations and governmental entities. Additionally, they provide emergency shelter, transitional housing, and permanent supportive housing for chronically homeless individuals, persons with a range of disabilities, and families experiencing homelessness for the first time. In addition to housing, Capital Area Alliance for the Homeless and its partners offer a range of services that include outreach to the homeless, behavioral health referrals, substance abuse treatment, veteran services, life skills training, job training, placement for youth, have a youth shelter, and literacy and GED classes. As always, our visitors, please feel no obligation to give unless you would like to. We at this church are building our financial giving as a spiritual practice, extending our values into the communities in yet another way. This morning's offering will be humbly accepted and shared in the same spirit. Will our ushers please come forward?
Where are we in the story? I try to find myself in any story I read or watch. And before I go deeper into my struggles with this story, I want to break down some of the parts because I think we all look for ourselves in a story. Some of you, like me, immediately identified with the older brother. Some of you are staring at me uneasily because you are the prodigal son or the prodigal daughter, sitting before the sibling who refused to attend your homecoming. Or maybe you're the parent whose love has been tested and stretched by both the child who squandered her inheritance and the child who stands outside the party demanding justice. Some of you, I'm sure, can't find yourselves in the story at all for any number of reasons. You might be the child of a different kind of parent, one who couldn't open their heart to a reliable, hard-working child, much less a child who returns begging for help after squandering everything. Maybe you are that parent who lost their way and have returned with an ache for redemption and to restore the kind of love that can hold and love your children. We all need grace. We all deserve grace. Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, "Our thoughts and actions should express our mind of compassion, even when the other person says and does things that are not easy to accept. We practice this until we see clearly that our love does not depend on the other person apologizing or being lovable. Then we know our mind of compassion is firm and authentic." Wherever you find yourself, inside or outside of this story, I stand before all of you with a mind of compassion and hope that something in my struggle that I share today will shine a light on your path, will help you find your way home to love, will help you find the grace you deserve. I'm going to share with you a morning prayer of sorts that's a practice of mine. I usually do it in the morning, taking my shoes off. I do it with bare feet. And you can rise as you are willing and able, and the words are here, but repeat after me as I go through it. This is a movement through the chakras. So we start at the top, go to our feet, go back to the crown and back into the earth. And we'll go through it slowly. So as I go, repeat after me. Illuminate my spirit. Clear my vision. Open my voice. Fill my heart. Ground my actions. Expand my soul. Connect my body. And now we're moving back up. We are connected. We are expanding. We are grounded. We are overflowing. We are open. We are clear. We are illuminated. And back down from the crown. Illumination. Clarity. Openness. Flow. Grounding. Expansion. Connection. May it be so. Remain as you are for our next hymn, My Life is Made Worthwhile.
My life is made worthwhile by fighting bravely on for those ideals I hold most great and holy. Though evil winds may blow, they will not rock the calm in my soul, which remains both quiet and lowly. I might be disappointed. I might fall in the fight, but I am sure that my life was worth living. The life which is to come is in my holy shrine. I trust that I have lived a life worth giving. For heaven waits for those whose spirits have won through. But I am sure that my life was worth living. And they will find the Son, whose minds have let them rise, and stand against the darkness and the mayhem. I might be disappointed, I might fall in the fight, but I am sure that my life was worth living. The life which is to come has been my holy shrine. I trust that I have lived a life worth giving.
I'm not ready for this party. Instead of the parable of two brothers, lost son, loving father, how about two sisters, lost daughter, loving mother? Or let's remove the binary from the parable equation. Two siblings, lost child, forgiving parent. No matter how I bent the gender of this parable, I was still the oldest child. From the time I first learned this story, the humility of the prodigal child as they returned to their home was lost on me. My ears were ringing loud with anger, and I wanted justice. I remember feeling set up and betrayed by Shakespeare when I read The Taming of the Shrew. This story is fodder for a whole series of sermons, movements even, around social gender topics, but I'll focus on my 16-year-old reaction to it. As I began reading the play, I was very happy with the good sister, who happened to be blonde like me. But Shakespeare tricked me. In the end, the good daughter was the jerk. Kind of like in this third of three parables that Jesus told the Pharisees tricked me, the character from the parable that I found myself in became the jerk. In both stories, I easily and readily identified with the responsible child who didn't need taming, the good child who stayed to work the fields, the virtuous child the parent could count on. I stepped into these stories with my righteousness strapped on, but the takeaway in both stories left me nostril deep in self-righteous stink. What was even happening? Apparently, I'm still sorting it out. All these decades later, when Reverend Nathan asked the preaching pack, tasked us with naming a story that bothered us, my answer was swift and unwavering: the prodigal son.
An excerpt from Unnatural Grace by the Reverend Dr. John T. Morehouse. All of us have been betrayed by someone, a parent, a child, a partner, a colleague, a community. We want to make it right. Sometimes we want revenge, and always we want justice. Do we want justice or forgiveness? I don't think the choice is so stark. We can have some justice and some forgiveness, but no justice is possible without some forgiveness. Forgiveness is an unnatural grace. It is not always what we expect that matters most, but how our hearts are made right by our expectations that we can move on in love. That is the meaning of grace for me.
Deep peace of the running wave to you.
Deep peace of the flowing air to you.
Deep peace of the quiet earth to you.
Deep peace of the shining stars to you.
Deep peace of the gentle night to you. Moon and stars pour their healing light on you. Deep peace of the running wave to you. Deep peace of the flowing air to you. Deep peace of the quiet earth to you. Deep peace of the shining stars to you. Deep peace of the gentle night to you. Moon and stars pour their healing light on you. Deep peace to you. Deep peace to you.
Whose shoes are these? I get it. I always understood that this parable is about forgiveness, love, and redemption. I believe in forgiveness, and I think I'm pretty good at it. But something about that fat calf and the party continues to eat at me. As I worked on this sermon, the older child's shoes became more and more uncomfortable. What if I had put myself in the wrong shoes? What if I'm not the daughter who stayed behind? Writing this sermon gave me a chance to try on different shoes, prompted me to ask more questions. What if I'm the prodigal child of the parable? Maybe I'm not the goody two-shoes daughter who stayed behind, ingesting all the Sunday school stories without a question. I'm the daughter who asked the questions and left. When I left that Sunday school room in 1965, I was taking my first step away from my family's religious tradition. After I decidedly separated myself at 18, I never returned to my parents' faith. In their eyes, I squandered my religious inheritance. Yet I always knew that I could count on returning to their fold, to a love that would hold me even if I had taken a path that allowed me to question and explore in ways they didn't agree with or understand. The more I tried on the shoes of the prodigal son, the better they seemed to fit. But wait, we identified 3 primary characters in this parable. What if I'm the parent of the story? The parent who loves all her children with just as much compassion for my wild child as I have for my steady and reliable child. The father's shoes fit just fine too. It took me decades. But one of the things I learned to parse out as a writer are the voices in my head. Critical Carla, doubtful Debbie, can become loud and discouraging. They are full of self-righteousness, and they think they're protecting me from embarrassment, from failing. I can't kick them out of my head or kill them off. They're part of me. But after decades, I learned I can manage them, send them to the back seat, and allow eager Agnes and intuitive Ines to lead the journey. It's a stretch, but this parable can also be a metaphor for the voices in our heads. The logical, cranky ego that stays in the fields must stay safe. Or the intuitive, fun-loving creative that seeks adventure must explore. Caught in the middle is the parent, integral, authentic, who must find the balance between living safely and living fully. What if the parable is also about balance? About the dangers of imbalance, about regrets of imbalance? I keep scratching at this parable, and you know what? The siblings have more than a parent in common. The wild child who returns with her tail tucked and humbly asked to live with her parents' servants has regrets. She regrets the choices she made, the selfishness, the squandering. Guess who else has regrets? The obedient child who stayed behind. Please rise in body and spirit as you are willing and able for our next hymn.
Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I made my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to love.
Grace. The obedient child didn't question. Self-effacing, she stayed to tend the fields and help her parent. What are her regrets? She didn't take any chances. She didn't take an adventure or live for herself. But there will be more things to regret because her so-called virtues wicked up the stink of her self-righteousness when she refused to celebrate her siblings' homecoming. Preparing a sermon on this parable led me to unexpected places. Forgiveness and love, sure, and please take that lesson home. But when you scratch at the story, see the different shoes, and explore the characters with compassion, you might find yourself in all of them. You'll see the flaws in them and in yourself, and with a mind of compassion, you might find the grace of love, the grace of firm and authentic love. We're all the son who stayed behind and the son who left to squander his inheritance. We can find bits of ourselves in both the parent and the child. Why is it important to try on all the shoes? To look at ourselves and all the characters? Because there we find our connections. Because by trying on the shoes, we learn to replace our self-righteous anger with compassion. Because when we can see all the characters, we're more inclined to have a firm and authentic mind of compassion, love, and forgiveness. Even when they return home with the stink of pigs and prostitutes on their clothing, even if they stand outside the party, stewing in self-righteous anger. Rise in body and spirit as you are willing and able for our closing hymn. I'm going to lift my sister up.
I'm gonna lift my sister up, she is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my sister up, she is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my sister up, she is not heavy. If I don't lift her up, if I don't lift her up, if I don't lift her up, I will fall down. I'm gonna lift my people up, they are not heavy. I'm gonna lift my people up, they are not heavy. I'm gonna lift my people up, they are not heavy. If I don't lift them up, if I don't lift them up, if I don't lift them up, I will fall down. I'm gonna lift my brother up, he is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my brother up, he is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my brother up, he is not heavy. If I don't lift him up, if I don't lift him up, if I don't lift him up, I will fall down. I'm gonna lift my neighbor up, he is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my neighbor up, they are not heavy. I'm gonna lift my neighbor up, they are not heavy. If I don't lift them up, if I don't lift them up, if I don't lift them up, I will fall down.
May we move through these last days of spring and the swelter that announces summer with open hearts, abundance of spirit, compassion, and grace, even when it's uncomfortable.